Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Doe spoke first, and I think his first question was, are there any safeguards in case of a drought? And I'm not going to pull down the slides, we'd have to page Tom again, but on one of those slides, it showed a 6.9 million gallons per year safe yield, and that was taken in the worst drought in Woonsocket history, which is in the 1960s. So when we analyzed 0.4%, it was during the drought. And in addition, the council, legal counsel for the town has requested that we put in any contract, if you arrive at that point, obviously you haven't, but if you do, that whatever drought protocols are put in place that would apply to any other commercial customer would also have to apply to us. So we have addressed that, or we will address that. Mr. Doe also asked about limitations, and we are trading back and forth again with legal counsel. Forms of an agreement, we have a get-one agreement with Woonsocket, and we do have language in there about gallons per day, limitations, number of truck limitations, etc. So that is something that's being discussed. Mr. Montero went next. He asked about negotiations, and I'm not going to disclose negotiations that we've had with the council in closed session. It's just not appropriate. I apologize, Mr. Montero, but we can't do that. Mr. O'Neill and Ms. Mayer went next. I think they were opposed, but I don't think they had questions or statements. I apologize, Ms. Majusi, if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, but I think you also had questions about a cap. And again, I think with Mr. Doe's questions, I tried to answer that. Mr. Hool had a statement. I don't think he had any specific questions. Mr. Reynolds went next. He had some questions about, I think his question was, why did it change? Why did we go from a pipeline to a, what we call a truck option? And he cited the report to the EFSB that we filed on January 12th, I think it was. It might have been the night after we first met. Oh, December, I'm sorry. December 11th. And Mr. Reynolds, if you look at that report, it's online. You can get it at the EFSB website at page 4 of that report. We did talk about this option that we were investigating it for two reasons. One, we've been studying trying to reduce water usage. It's something that we want to try to do. Why haven't we done it to date? It's very expensive, but we've decided we need to do it. The project, if it gets approved by EFSB, will make that investment. The other reason is it gives us optionality. You do have the options to get water from different sources if you're taking 15 to 20,000 gallons a day as opposed to 150 to 200,000 gallons a day. Mr. Reynolds asked about a couple of wind farms that involve the company Terraform. There were 2 wind farms that Invenergy sold to Terraform, and then Terraform suddenly went bankrupt. That's not an Invenergy bankruptcy. Mr. Globe, Mr. Bosco, and Mr. Tebow, I think, were last, and again, they had statements. Mr. President, I didn't really write down any questions. I think they had specific questions.
Councilwoman Murray just brought up, there was another question. Councilwoman, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't remember it correctly, but it was Ms. Majusi asking about 20-year versus 4-year.
My apologies. I was asking about a follow-up question. Ms. Majusi inquired to the 20-year contract versus the 40-year contract.
Yeah, financing these projects, you build the contracts on a 20-year basis. What we've been discussing with legal counsel, we would have options to extend it, I think, for another 2 5-year periods. John, I think that's what it is. So it would be 20 with some options to extend. But that's typical of these projects.
Thank you, Mr. Blake. If you would call up the next.
Council, the filing date that you said you had that other proposal, you said it was in December, is that what you said? On page 4 of the EFSB report.
We filed a report with the EFSB in December, and we had a status report. And we had to set out the different options we had that we were pursuing for water, one of them being the discussion with you folks. And then we had indicated in there that we were also looking at, could we reduce water so we could pursue a truck option delivered by truck.
Do you have a date of that filing or not specific?
I think it's December 12th. But if you go on the EFSB website, and you click on this project, Councilman, it's the very last filing.
Thank
It's
you.
entitled status report.